Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is Friday, March 14th, and this is a meeting of the Revenues Subcommittee of Ways and Means. We have just a few bills we're going to be discussing and hopefully voting on today. And we will start with House Bill 799. This bill establishes the Maryland Innovation Initiative University Partnership Extension Program within the Maryland Technology Development Corporation. And there are amendments. George, do you want to walk us through the amendments, please?
Chair, one moment.
Sure.
So the amendments before you would, sorry, wrong file, of course,
Yeah.
would expand the extension program to additional educational institutions of higher education that are deemed eligible by the Maryland Innovation Initiative, MII. They would also reduce and make discretionary certain appropriations for the program. The amendments also alter participation requirements for the program and then require TEDCO to submit a report on similar programs that are in neighboring states and the benefits and costs of expanding MII to all institutions of higher education in the state.
Any questions or discussion on the amendments? Delegate Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to know, with respect to the expansion to certain institutions, we're just talking about, which institutions are we talking about?
Bowie and Frostburg.
Yeah, so it's Bowie, Frostburg,
Currently-
and then any other, the amendment adds any other public or private nonprofit institution of higher education deemed eligible by the initiative.
So does that mean all public and private institutions? It's expanded to all?
It gives correct me if I'm wrong, George, but it gives the initiative the authority to include other institutions, but it's not a widespread everyone's in.
Okay, okay.
You have to have some
That's
kind of, my understanding, you have to have some kind of research or innovation component to it that they deem within their mission, but it's not increasing the funding, right? Like the
Sure.
original bill
Right.
increased the funding, which I liked, some Frostburg State, but the bill now takes out the funding. It just says with the existing funding pool, they can choose to give that money.
Okay,
Doesn't
all
matter.
right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Delegate Vogel.
Can we just clarify that piece? There is still an optional appropriation, right, George?
That's correct. So that it's made discretionary and then it is also reduced from 500,000 to 250,000. And rather than specify that the institutions need to provide $50,000 in order to participate in the program, a participating institution would need to provide a 10% match on awards for projects under the program.
Is
I'm
there
favorable on the amendments.
okay? Is there
Second.
Wonderful. It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion on the amendments?
Vogel, move your
All
bill.
right. All in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? No, that was everyone. On the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
I'd like to second the Vogel Buckle bill.
All
Making
right.
great things happen for Maryland.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any additional discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Wonderful. House Bill 799 will go to full committee, favorable as amended. Okay, the next bill we had on the list was House Bill 1286. We're actually gonna hold that bill to do a little work on it, look a little closer at sort of the implementation.
So Jess, are you holding that
Yes.
bill hostage?
We are not.
Okay, that's good.
We
to
are
hear.
not. And moving on to, I'm sorry, Delegate Roberts, did you have, or is your hand still up from before? Okay, sorry. Then we will move on to House Bill 1459, which is altering the Western Maryland Economic Future Investment Program by modifying the membership of the board, altering the purpose and eligible uses of money in the Senator George C. Edwards Fund, altering project evaluation criteria, and extending the annual mandatory appropriation of the fund through fiscal 2031 as it was introduced. However, we do have amendments that strike the mandatory appropriation and alter the project evaluation criteria. George, do you want to walk us through the specifics on the amendments?
Yes, Madam Chair. So you'll note on page 3, there's clarifying language that now, since these are all voting members of the board, that no member of the Maryland General Assembly could serve as a member of the board to avoid any issues regarding separation of powers. On page 4, we're striking the extension of the mandatory appropriation under the bill. So any future appropriations would simply just be discretionary. Lastly, with respect to project criteria, currently the bill would provide that in order to be eligible, the project would either have to create or retain at least 25 jobs, or if it's creating fewer jobs, it would need to create or retain at least 10 jobs, each with wages currently under the bill. Those wages would need to meet or exceed 150% of median household income for the member county where the project is located. Instead, that wage requirement is stricken and would provide that those 10 jobs have to have wages that exceed 120% of the state minimum wage.
And that's correct. And that's a compromise with the 3 counties involved because of there was just some differentiations of what their median household incomes were and how they felt they could use that as a criterion. And then George, the change from mandatory to discretionary funding, does it still have the $10 million cap? It says the governor of the budget can place up to $10 million, or is it just simply open-ended?
It's just open, and you, to the degree you want to include a cap, or it's not actually a cap. To the degree you want to include a reference to that amount, it would continue to be discretionary.
And is that the same posture as the Senate? I just want to make sure it's in the same posture as the Senate language.
It is different than the Senate language. The Senate language struck those brackets and then included language. If you give me one moment, I'll bring it up. My apologies. On page 4, after striking the brackets and the reference to 2031, as this amendment set does, it added an additional subparagraph that specifies in each of fiscal years 2027 through 2031 that the governor may include in the annual operating or capital budget bill an appropriation of at least $10 million to the fund. So it effectively repeats that language above for these next the extended fiscal years, but specifying may rather than
It's
shall.
discretionary, yeah.
So can I ask how that works if it's may, but at least? So that means
I
that
think that
if
it
they're
would
making an
still,
appropriation, it can't be less than that?
I think it would probably still be discretionary.
That's our understanding, Delegate Feldmark, is the way that's
Okay.
interpreted in all these other
So the
similar
at
types of
least
funds.
is sort of not really
Right,
functional.
because
if
both the
anything,
governor and the
it-
legislature can move whatever they want
Right.
within those numbers.
Okay. Okay. Um, so do we have a motion
Move
on,
favorable on the amendments.
Second.
all right, any further discussion or questions? All those in favor on the amendments? Wonderful.
Move favorable on the bill as amended.
All right.
Second.
Any questions on the bill as amended? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. That's everyone. Wonderful. So House Bill 1459 will also go to full committee with our recommendation of favorable with amendments. All right. Thank you all. See you shortly.